Imagine this. You have a prized orchid looking perfectly healthy one day, and the very next, it's just a pile of foul-smelling mush. It honestly sounds like something out of a horror movie, but it is a very real and scarily fast disease. Okay, let's just dive right into this. We're going to learn how to fight back against what I call the 24-hour killer. Wow. That one sentence just perfectly captures the shock and the sheer speed of this infection. This isn't some slow decline, right? It's a sudden, catastrophic collapse. That overnight switch from a vibrant plant to this putrid mess, well, that's the signature move of this particular bacterial rot.
So, that's our mission for today. What is this thing, and how do we stop it? We are going to unmask the culprit behind all this destruction. We're going to understand its weapons, and, most importantly, we're going to learn the emergency procedures to save your plants and the defense strategies to keep it from ever happening again.
All right, first things first, we have to understand our enemy. This is not just some little pest you can brush off. No, this is a highly efficient pathogen, and it operates on a terrifyingly short timeline. Knowing exactly what you're up against is the absolute first step to winning this fight. Now, the key word on this slide is necrotrophic. It's a great word. It means these bacteria aren't just, hanging out on the plant. They're actively killing the plant cells first and then feasting on the wreckage. They are literally dissolving your orchid from the inside out just to make their own food. It's brutal. So, it's time to put a name to this killer. For years and years, orchid growers have just called it Erwinia. But it turns out science has done a little detective work and uncovered, well, a case of mistaken identity. So while you're still going to hear the name Erwinia thrown around all the time, scientists using DNA analysis found that the actual culprits belong to two totally different groups, Pectobacterium and Dickeya. Look, it's a bit of a technical detail, but it's important for understanding the research. For you and me, though, just know that when someone says Erwinia, these are the guys they're talking about. So how does a single microscopic bacterium turn a firm, healthy leaf into liquid in less than a day? Well, it all comes down to a really sophisticated and incredibly effective arsenal of chemical weapons. And this is the core of their strategy. It's actually brilliant. Think of a plant structure like a brick wall, right? The cells are the bricks. And pectin is the mortar holding it all together. These bacteria don't even bother attacking the bricks themselves. They go straight for the mortar. Dissolve the glue, and the whole wall just collapses into mush. And here's the specific breakdown of that arsenal. These aren't just random chemicals, they are highly specialized enzymes, like a demolition crew's toolkit. The pectate lyasase and the polygalacturanases, those are the main pectin destroyers. But then others like cellulases and proteases jump in to help dismantle the rest of the cell. It's a complete all-out assault on the plant's structure. And this is the secret to their speed. This is amazing. The bacteria don't just attack one by one. No, they multiply quietly, kind of under the radar, and they communicate with each other using chemical signals. Once they reach a critical number, what's called a quorum, they all unleash their enzymes at the exact same time. It's a coordinated shock and awe attack that the plant's defenses just have no way of handling.
Okay, so we know the culprit and we know their weapons. Now, it's time for us to become detectives. Learning how to spot the earliest signs of an attack is absolutely 100% critical because every single hour counts. You have got to keep your eyes peeled for these symptoms. It usually starts with these innocent-looking little greasy spots, like a drop of oil landed on the leaf. But the real giveaways are the speed they grow and that unmistakable, foul, fishy smell. If you see a weird spot and it smells bad, trust me, you're dealing with bacterial rot. And this table right here? This is probably your most important diagnostic tool. People get bacterial and fungal rots mixed up all the time, but the treatments are completely different. So here's what you check: speed, texture, and smell. Is it fast, mushy, and smelly? That's bacterial. Is it slow, kind of dry or leathery, and doesn't really smell like anything? That's fungal. Simple as that. So the bacteria might be around, but they need the right conditions to really launch their attack. This is what we call the perfect storm of triggers: high heat and high humidity. That's the big one. It's the perfect breeding ground. Then you add in some stagnant air and maybe a tiny little wound from pruning, and you've basically rolled out the red carpet for an infection. All right, an attack is happening, the alarms are going off. This is where we stop being detectives and we become surgeons. Prevention didn't work, and now we have to perform a life-saving operation on our plant. I really cannot stress this enough.
This is not a wait and see what happens situation, not at all. Every single minute you wait, the bacteria are multiplying and spreading further into the plant. You have to act the moment you confirm what it is. Okay, let's walk through this procedure, step by step. First, get that plant away from everything else, immediately. Now, here's the most critical rule, the one you cannot break. Sterilize your blade with a flame, with bleach, whatever you've got, after every single cut. Why? Because if you don't, you're just dragging bacteria from the sick part right into the clean, healthy part. Be brave. Cut way back into the clean green tissue. You have to get every last infected cell. Then, dust the fresh wound with something like ground cinnamon, which is a great natural disinfectant, and just let it dry out. Okay, the surgery is done, but the patient is now in recovery. You have to keep it isolated and check on it every single day. Cut way back on the watering to let that wound heal and callus over. Your goal right now is to give that plant the most low-stress environment possible so it can use all its energy to recover. Look, emergency surgery is always the last resort. The real win is never needing to do it in the first place. So now, we're going to talk about how to build a fortress around your orchids so this killer can't even get through the door. Your first line of defense is just plain, old-fashioned sanitation. But think of it like military-grade sanitation. Treat every new plant you bring home like it might be carrying something, and quarantine it for at least a month. And sterilize your tools, not just when you see a problem, but every single time you move from one plant to the next. It is the most effective thing you can possibly do, period. Next up, let's control the number one way this thing spreads: water. Always try to water in the morning. That gives the leaves the whole day to dry off. Aim for the potting mix, not the leaves, and definitely try to keep water out of the crown of the plant. Remember, these bacteria need water to swim around and infect the plant, so your goal is to keep the plant itself as dry as you can. And finally, let's make the entire environment hostile to the enemy. Stagnant, humid air is a bacteria's best friend. A small oscillating fan can work wonders. Give your plants some personal space so they can breathe, and be ruthless about cleaning up any dead leaves or old flowers. Don't give the rot a free meal to get started on. So, what's the big takeaway here? You've gone from being a potential victim of this 24-hour killer to being a first responder. You know what it is, you know how to perform surgery if you have to, and, most importantly, you now know how to build a defensive protocol. The power to protect your plants is completely in your hands.